Looks like we're logged in and good to go. Just finishing up or gonna start a stream, doing a little bit of a test stream, just making sure that things can run and that we're good to go. Gonna get started on this blitz. Going from bottom to top as usual. Oh man. I don't know why that sign's popping up. Same issue every single time. Alright, we're just gonna turn the sound off again because we don't like sound. Sound never works. Hopefully you guys can hear me though. Alright, first rotation never really goes that well. It is what it is. We'll work with it, figure it out. So right here we unlocked it's a regular 2-star IronHeart. So this one we're just gonna be pushing for a 3-star IronHeart. First match is going phenomenally well. Alright. Let's not even sure what I'm gonna be doing with IronHeart yet, right? Like I'm kind of on the fence with what I'm gonna be doing with her, because technically my vision is 31k. The rest of the team is about between 25 and 38k, 25 and 31k, so it's 33k. So it's kind of like, why would I use IronHeart right now? Right now, I think when I unlocked her, I brought her up to 20 level 25. Level 25, probably like gear tier 5. Just probably gonna throw her on Blitz team at some point, but there's really no reason for me to put much into her. The next step for me is just probably to bring her up to level 50 and then probably gear tier 8. That's probably the next step for me and her. And then eventually I'll bring her up to. Eventually I'll go ahead and I'll bring her up to level 60 gear tier 10 like the rest of them. So this is kind of my open rotation. I should have done this from a while ago, but just didn't really get on the game too much today, so just want to make sure that I kind of do and kind of finish up, or at least do one rotation before I go to bed. It's not gonna be too long of a stream. All right. Tomorrow, so based on my roster, was a 2.8 million TCP. So realistically, I'll probably only be able to do like maybe 7 or 8 mil in the blitz, and that's with doing probably 4 rotations a day, right? But it's not gonna be it's quite the dedication to doing 4 blitzes a day. Were we using only 25 teams that we're using? Not many points. That's the reason why we're currently building up some teams right now that can, So that's the thing, right? When you're so just unlock Ultron. So that's the thing with unlocking Ultron is that you kind of go tall before you can go before you can then work on the type of teams that you want to work on, right? So I went For my roster, I went pretty tall. Worked on Star Lord heavily, Invisible Woman, Rocket, um, Groot, of course, Hella, Minerva, of course. But the reality is, when you do something like that, when you go that that strong on a roster like that, that tall on a roster like that, you kind of leave yourself a little vulnerable. So we got to work a little bit stronger on a few of the other teams now that we have, so that we can get, just so that we can have a more wide roster, right, as opposed to a tall roster. I definitely need a team to be able to throw in there with Ultron. So that's why, um, the next month or so, I'll be throwing Shuri into rotation. Um, I've completed getting the AIM team to a stopping point, so they're at gear tier 10, which was enough to 3-star 7-1 and 7-3. Um, so Scientist Supreme is gear tier 12, Graviton's gear tier 11, and then the rest of the team, AIM Researcher, AIM Security, and AIM Assaults, are there about gear tier 10. So they're doing what they need to do. But I was able to 3-star, 3-star 7-1 and 7-3. 7-2 was a beast of a node to get through. So we'll probably go back around that. But regardless of whatever the case is, I was able to get all the way up to Hella's node and being able to 3-star that node. So now I can throw her into the fold. Only got 30 shards away. Only 30 shards away from getting her to 6 stars, which it's kind of putting me in a little bit of a tricky place, right? Because I know Black Bolt's going to be rolling around in the next, month and a half to 2 months or so. I probably won't be able to get a 6-star Black Bolt. So I'll probably only be able to unlock a 5-star Black Bolt, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, though, it's not like it's not like I necessarily need a 6-star Black Bolt. I just want one, just because Black Bolt's hands down top 3 character in the game, right? Probably top character in the game, number 1 character in the game. Him and Phoenix basically. But you gotta ask yourself the questions. Is it going to be possible? The only thing that's going to hold me back right now, 100%. The only thing that's going to hold me back right now is it's probably Sif. Sif is probably going to be the only thing that's going to hold me back right now is probably Sif. All right. So nothing crazy. So you see AIM researcher in that team, mainly because I just haven't had the opportunity yet to readjust these blitz teams. I originally made these probably about a month ago or so, and there's definitely been some, slight improvement in the roster, of course. So I just need to go through and kind of fix some of these blitz teams and move some teams around. But it is what it is, right? And I don't there's no rush to do it right now. Um, so what you see as you guys continue to watch the stream is that over the next 2 to 3 months or so, I'm gonna be working on building out a lot of these teams to make sure that, like I said, we went very relatively tall on the roster, to be able to get Ultron right. I think we're gonna lose this match, by the way. It's pretty clear that we're gonna lose this match, but I went relatively tall on this roster to be able to get Ultron, but that ultimately hurt me because I just don't have enough firepower in certain areas like arena, and I'm fine in raids. Like raids are okay, and arena is good too as well. I'm able to stay up, under 150, but like I said, it's just not enough to be able to kind of keep up with those. Pretty much all the teams that I'm facing right now are all the Phoenix and Black Bolt and Ebony Maw, like the Ultron combos, which is just not, you're just not gonna win a lot of those matches. You're just not gonna win a lot of those matches. So just gotta figure this out. And kind of make some adjustments here. This is why like the next focus over the next really 2 months is just gonna be, building out teams to a stopping point, which is going to be level 60 gear tier 10, and then of course then cycling back around through those teams to get them level 65 gear tier 11 for the main essential teams. Um, that's to make it work. But yeah, the biggest thing is just being able to have fun in the game, right? That's what it is. It's about, especially when you're like me, you're a Marvel fanatic, and all you really want to do is just have fun with the game. I think that was kind of like my first initial thing is just to be able to have fun with the game. But of course, there is a strategy to this game, and you also want to be able to progress, um, and progress well, and be able to help out an alliance, and be a contributing, person into an alliance. So I think for me, it's as much fun as I've had. I also want to be able to be at least somewhat competitive. I'm a competitive guy by nature, so I want to be able to have a better roster. Um, so, I'll be posting some videos soon too as well about, kind of like the do's and the don'ts, things that I've learned over the past year or so of playing this game. Um, just things that I know that I wish I would have done differently, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to you in time. If you're to be able to understand the mistakes that I made, to not make the same mistakes. But yeah, through this blitz, man, I just kind of just pick a team and hit auto, and hopefully they win. If they don't, whatever. I've crafted the teams enough to be able to handle to keep them within the same parity, right, in terms of power level and gear and all that. I try to do that the best that I can. Obviously, some of the characters, as you saw in one of the matches that I just lost, where I just didn't have enough firepower because it was just such a difference in power level. It just tends to happen because once you start working on your roster, sometimes you need to make adjustments, and I just haven't made the adjustments yet. But for the most part, these teams are well balanced and doing pretty well. Like I said, I mean, the last blitz, I was able to get about 7.7 million in the last blitz. Of course, doing 4 rotations a day, but regardless, I mean, that's when you're not a whale, and when you're not someone that's spent a lot of money on the account. Which ultimately, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. It's just when you're in my boat, you know, you kind of got to figure out the best ways to maximize your roster, right? And you know, I'm starting to figure out the best ways to do that right now. See, we're gonna run through this. So this is a test stream right here. This is not as you can see in the background. There's not necessarily anything specifically set up yet. This is just one of those things I want to make sure that the camera was working, that things were coming through okay. Um, and still just figuring, and still just wanted to at least run through a blitz just to see how that would look on camera on a stream. So this is what this is. This is going to be many more videos to come. I'm going to be here on a regular basis from Tuesday through Friday. So if you're interested and you want to hear what type of feedback I have to give on the game, you know, as a mid tier player who is what I classify as a cheap to play player as opposed to as a free to play player, then feel free to stop by, you know, and also as well, you know, I know that I don't know a lot about the game. I don't know everything about the game, so feel free at any point in time to drop any comments, or even if you want me to do, I'm going to be doing some videos on YouTube too as well. So if you want to take a look there too, it's going to be, I actually have a channel that I'm building up right now, Goofy Rexy. So if you guys want me to make any videos on there too as well, you know, any videos that you guys want, any sort of insight on, I'm definitely happy to do that too as well. I'll probably be posting up like 2 videos a week, um, probably towards the mid and the latter part of the week. So feel free at any point in time if you guys have any questions about anything, of course. But yeah, just running through this blitz right now, just trying to figure some things up, making sure that we at least use the whole roster for the first blitz. Then tomorrow, you know, from top to bottom, you know, we'll make sure that we do our 4 blitzes, our 4 blitz rotations. As I said, I mean, with it being a 2.8 million TCP roster, you know, you got to go through that many blitzes in order to make this blitz effective. My goal here is not to get a 4-star IronHeart. I don't have enough firepower to do that. So my goal is really to be able to get a 2-star, sorry, not 2-star, a 3-star IronHeart. That's my goal. If I can get a 3-star IronHeart, that at least makes her somewhat viable as an option on that power armor team. Um, you know what the real question is though? The real question is, what do I then do with Vision, right? And some theory crafting that I've been thinking about is probably putting Vision with um, I've actually been thinking about this because right now I also have Captain Marvel on the Brawlers team. So one of the things that I'm thinking about doing is maybe taking Captain Marvel as picking Captain Marvel from the Brawlers team and then taking Vision from the Power Armor team and then teaming them up with Captain Marvel. Sorry, not Captain Marvel. Keep teaming them up with Captain America. Um, maybe Hulk, and then probably Black Widow. I'm thinking it might be a good kind of combination because I know Captain Marvel gives Captain America a little bit more power, a little bit more health. Um, so I think that would be really good. I think Captain America also gives a little bit more resistance to the Captain Marvel. Vision gives defensive up to tech characters, which means that Black Widow would get a little bit of a defensive up. Hulk, although not a great character, is still a character that's super annoying because of his high health bar. You know, so I'm just thinking that might be a good team for me to work. For me, this theory crafter, right? Just thinking like that probably might be a good team for me to um, kind of flex and run with. That's what I'm. That's what I think I might do. I might flex and run with that team. Um, you know, after then you know, then I gotta figure out what other brawler I'm gonna put with that team, right? Probably Black Panther, because I don't think that I'm gonna be doing much with the Wakandans. As you can see, look at where my Wakandans are. Like my Wakandans are just not. they're not really leveled up the way I want them to be. So, obviously because I just kind of gave up on that team because they just weren't what they were supposed to be. So, you kind of just give up on a team. Yeah, so for the Wakandans, it was just a matter of just them just not being as good as they were advertised to be. But I'm such a big Black Panther fan in general, um, so I gotta find a good place for my man King T'Challa. So yeah, I gotta find a place for King T'Challa, even if it's just simply because see that's the thing about this game, right? There's what makes sense, and then there's just you just like a character, right? And Black Panther is just has always been one of my favorite Marvel characters, so I just got to find a place for him. So I think I'm just gonna put him with the Brawlers after gearing up probably the rest of the Wakandans to gear tier 10. So probably put him with the Brawlers, because I also got to find a replacement for the Thing too as well. The Thing is on the Brawlers team for me right now, and that's just mainly because Mr. Fantastic, Human Torch, and Namor have not been built up. My Invisible Woman is beast mode. You'll see her in a little bit. She's about 64k, 65k or so. So I just haven't really, I got to find somebody to put with Invisible Woman. So, Mr. Fantastic obviously is going to go with her. Namor's obviously going to go with her. Once I build up that team, but for right now, I'm just like, you know, I kind of just threw her and Minerva on some random Blitz team. just to kind of just keep things pushing and moving. Oh man, but yes, I'm just. But yeah, I gotta find a place for my man T'Challa. All right, all right, all right. We're coming to the end of this blitz right now. Yeah, so this won't be a long video. Probably be about a half an hour. So realistically, Blitz should really only take you about a half an hour. So if you're going longer on Blitz, you're doing too much. if you're going longer on Blitz, you're doing too much. If you're going longer on Blitz, that's because you're doing something that shouldn't take too long. I mean, obviously, I'm doing it on auto, so that means things are a little bit different. Because obviously it's much easier when you're just kind of just letting the CPU do whatever it is or the AI do whatever it is, right? Um, but for me personally, I don't even without allowing the AI to do its thing, Blitz should not take you more than 40 minutes. Um, Especially in open and blitz rotation, it should not take you longer than 40 minutes. But when you do your other rotations, that should probably take you 15 to 20 minutes, because you're not using your entire roster at that point. Whenever you do repeated rotations, essentially you're just using your top like 10 to 15 teams really, to finish off the blitz to do a blitz rotation. You may use some of your charges, so you probably use some of those teams a few times, but like I said, I mean, you really don't need to do that much with it. Well, see, as I mentioned here, this is my Invisible Woman. She's 65k. She's kind of like just a one woman island right now because you know as we'll see later on in my streams, like I have Mr. Fantastic at around 6K, Namor around 6K, even Torture around 6K. You might ask me the question like, why are they so far apart? Um, it's just bad management. You know what I mean? It's just bad roster management. That's really what it comes down to. Just bad roster management. Like I said, I mean, I think I'm about 380 days into the game right now, maybe 385 days into the game right now. And I really wasted a lot of time on this roster by doing some silly things. You know, my defenders are high; they're about 260K. They should not have that much investment into them. I put way too much investment into them. Think about all that bio gear that I spent into the defenders team. And it's not that the defenders aren't a good team. It's just that they don't scale very well. You know, once they go past about 150 to 160K, right? It just don't scale very well. So, you know, I think that they were fine for a good starter team, but I really should have focused on other teams like like the Guardians. You know, Guardians were a good team. I should have probably spent some time focusing on, recruiting or working on the Brawlers team. The Brawlers team could have done a lot of damage for me too as well. So, like I said, I'm gonna come up with a do's and don'ts list, do's and don'ts video on YouTube, just talking about, you know, the things that I've learned over the past, man, this 380 days, right? Of just like what it is, the roster, the things that you should work on. Um, like I said, I think that there were definitely some mistakes that I made along the way that was just like, what the heck? Like, why did you do that? Um, there's definitely some of those that I'll be sharing in that video, because for someone that's either at the same place that I am or more so even previously, kind of maybe before my stage. So I'm more of a mid game player, right? I know that a lot of these guys that stream on here are end game players. So they have like really high rosters and high TCPs. I'm more of a mid game, mid tier player that has a roster that's a little bit more, you know, that's more geared to that's probably more closer to newer players per se. Being I'm only a year in, and when I say a year in, I mean I really probably only started taking the game seriously, maybe about 5 months ago. So it took me, what if we're doing the math on it right? I probably started taking the game up seriously about 7 to 8 months in. So you're talking about over 180 days of me just kind of playing the game willy nilly, right? So, um, you know, there's definitely some things that I've realized, and like I said, I'll be making a video on YouTube about the do's and don'ts, things that I've learned so far, and there definitely be some things that I've done well, too as well, and I will commend myself, pat myself on the back if I don't, if you don't mind. I've done pretty well too as well, but definitely when you think about it and reflect back, just human nature, you reflect back on the things that you wish that you had done differently. All right. All right, so we're about midway, a little bit more than midway through the first Blitz rotation. We're about um where we about 28 minutes in right now. So we're gonna finish this up, kind of check the progress, see where we are, and after that, we're just gonna, probably just claim, the dailies, claim the top of the day dailies, and then probably come back. So tomorrow, if you guys are willing to stay with me, I'll be back on here at around 10 o'clock. Go through a quick recap of the day. Hopefully, if you guys have an opportunity to see this tomorrow, if you have any questions, um, feel free to message me. So as you can see, going through the first rotation is pretty easy. There's not really You don't really start to have to worry about a lot of teams until you get through like that 7-1, that 7-2 range. So it's pretty easy right now. So this power armor team that you're looking at right now, there's a lot of one of the things one of the don'ts right that I learned was just not doing very well with finishing teams, right? Like the power armor team was a team that I got them to level 60, got them all level 60 plus and gear tier 10. But a team is not really complete until you finish off their abilities, right? Their abilities need to be done at 6664, right? That's what their abilities need to be done at 6664. That's when they're fully powered up, or their abilities or the team itself, the character itself is fully done. The next step, obviously, of course, from that point is, maybe probably taking them up another gear tier if you want to, but you don't necessarily need to. They can do primarily whatever you need them to do at level 60 gear tier 10. Um, but maybe you need to get some more stars on them. Obviously you don't really have much control over red stars, right? But that's really kind of the next stage is probably putting some stars and some red stars on them. That's when they'll get that higher power level. What I did with a lot of teams is that I left them at level 60 gear tier 10, but then never finished off their abilities. I left them at 5553, which is okay, but some of them they're missing certain things, when it comes to their abilities. Like, for instance, vision. My vision on that power armor team, as you can see, right? Like, normally everybody's power armor team, you see that the power armor team gets defensive up for 2 turns, right? So I have vision's um, passive ability at level 3, which means that he gives himself defensive up for 2 turns, but he doesn't give the rest of the team defense up for 2 turns. If I had just upped his ability to level 4, then he gives them defensive up for 2 turns. Now that might not be a problem for everybody, but that's the biggest thing that I've learned, from what I've learned over the past year is it's important to be able to for those teams that can do big punch ups in war or can do some damage for you in blitz or even potentially do a little bit more if you use the team interchangeably like a vision or maybe even potentially Iron Man or well, Vision and Falcon probably right. Like Falcon is a big character that you can use in U7 more so. But if you upgrade ability levels, for those characters, then you can use them in other areas. But you gotta the first step is being able to max them out, max out their abilities. So, that's one of the mistakes that I made was that I never maxed out the abilities, and essentially what that did is that um, it left me, kind of in a place where I was almost bringing them into battles with deficiencies, you know. When I'm facing other teams that have completed, rosters because their abilities are maxed out, even if their levels might be lower or their gear tier might be lower, they have finished off abilities, which means that they have the upper hand because that character is maxed out on abilities, can do whatever it is that they need to do in that battle. If that makes sense. If it doesn't, message me too as well. This Aimtron team is a fun team. Love using them in war. Love using them to do punch ups. The other team, my other favorite team that I love to use well, two teams that I love to do punch ups are the Brotherhood team and the Brotherhood 1.0. Not the 2.0 team, but the Brotherhood 1.0, which I think is actually a better team than the 2.0. My personal opinion. Um, Obviously, Sabretooth and Mystique are probably be better on the Marauders team, or it makes sense to put them on the Marauders team because that's where primarily they go now. But I actually really like the Brotherhood 2 1.0 team. Um, They're super fast. They do a lot of damage. And because they're so fast, they can do a lot of damage before anybody else even has a chance to attack them, which works really well against a team like the Shield, right? That's very fast too as well. Right. So next time when we do the stream here, you guys won't see all this the background stuff. I'll make sure that things are a little bit cleared up. But this is fun for me so far. We're kind of winding down here on the stream and on the test stream just to make sure that we got everything going and we're in a good spot. Just finishing off this blitz. Um, Blitzing for IronHeart. Doctor Strange is one of those characters that I've never really impressed with, but I always have issues when I should say this. When I have him, I'm never really impressed with him, mainly because he's only at like level 48. I don't even know what gear tier he's at. Abilities definitely not builds out. He's probably like 4 4 4 2, but I'm never really impressed with him. But whenever I fight him, I dislike him with a strong passion. But yeah, as you guys can see, this is my brawlers team. This is my brawlers team right here. Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, the Thing, right? Mainly because I just don't have the rest of the Fantastic Four team built out. Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel. So I'm hoping to change it up a little bit. The Thing and Captain Marvel, I would like to be able to take them off that team, and then probably replace those two characters with Psylocke and Black Panther. That's really my hope. To be able to do that, I really like that combination. You might say like, why not put Psylocke right with the X-Men team? When number one, I don't have Phoenix yet. I won't have her for probably another like 3 months, right? Because her event just passed. Um, but realistically, I would prefer to probably put Storm on that team as opposed to putting Psylocke on that team. Even though Psylocke is a great utility character, I just would really like her on the Brawlers team for whatever reason. Especially with her and Black Panther, I think I would prefer that. All right. All right, so the first character we want to go after is Storm. Because when she decides to do her stuns or whatever the case is, you just don't want to have to deal with that. But yeah, I would definitely prefer to put Storm on the X Men team. Take off, remove Psylocke and just put Psylocke on the Brawlers team with America Chavez, Miss Marvel, Gamora, and then Black Panther. I think that would be a really strong Brawlers team. But that's a little ways away. It's a little ways away. On the next stream, I'll show you guys my kind of like plan. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a freak that way. I have like a planned out sheet, because I realize that like a month plan a year into playing this game, and I made a lot of mistakes. So I feel like now I have corrected some of those mistakes. Still always looking for better ways to improve, but I've made better on the mistakes, and now I have a planned out sheet of okay, which teams am I going to be working on? Which I have them, kind of broken down to different phases. So right now, um, I'm working on right before this, I was working on the AIM team, which I completed. I got them all to level 60, gear tier 10, with the respect to Graviton and Scientist Supreme, who were Scientist Supreme's at gear tier 12, Graviton's at gear tier 11, but they're done. All their abilities are at 6664. The next step for me now is then being able to take the Spider-Man and Miles to gear tier 10, because I've already taken the symbiotes at a previous stopping point to gear tier 11. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to be finishing off the Power Armor team. They're already at the proper gear level, but they need to be filled out in terms of their abilities. Um, and then we're gonna move on to the Brawlers team, with the which is what the current Brawlers team is. But we're just gonna be we're gonna bring the current Brawler characters to Gear Tier 10 right now. Miss Marvel's already there, and we just gotta fill out her abilities. But then we just gotta make sure that we bring. I'm all about stopping points, right? Stopping points doesn't necessarily mean that's where they're gonna end up, where they're gonna be finished. It just means that it's just the best way of managing resources, right? Just finishing them off, getting them to a stopping point, and then we'll move on and bring them to another level. Once we have, once we have gotten other teams to a similar stopping point, then we'll go back and then we'll finish off other teams, right? So the AIM team was at Gear Tier 10 right now. It's probably a team that I'm going to want to take to Gear Tier 11. Number one, it's just not that much investment into doing it, so why not? The Symbiote Spider-Verse team, they're probably going to be done. I think once Spider-Man and Miles get to Gear Tier 10, they're probably done. But I probably would also like to be able to take, like a character like SSM to Gear Tier 12, and then, Gear Tier 13, right? And then take Carnage and Venom to Gear Tier 12, because at some point I would like to be able to take them to Gear Tier 13 and then 14. So it's a this game is about managing resources, and it's also about having plans in place. So as we continue to go through the stream, and over the next few months, you'll see it. I'll be doing a little bit of like methodical plan to make sure that we're sticking to a specific process, but then also as well um, managing our resources appropriately. All right, so that concludes our blitz for the night. Right? Okay. Concludes the blitz for the night. All right. So that blitz entirely, going through the entire roster, took about 43 minutes. 42 minutes actually, and just a little bit under 43 minutes. But thank you so much. This was just like I said, this was just a kind of test stream, but then also as well wanted to start it off with a blitz. If you guys do like, I'll definitely be on here at least 4 times a week. Um, Thank you, so much for taking a look and watching. I'm Goofy Rexy. Appreciate you guys, and hope you guys continue to watch. I'll be on, Tuesday through Friday on regular weeks. Tomorrow I'll most likely be hopping on here as well again at 10 o'clock. So thank you so much. Appreciate you guys, and take it easy.